Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor, for those of you who have never been here before, and in today's video we are doing another video powered by you guys. A couple days ago I asked in my community tab, what are some of your unpopular opinions for The Sims 4? And as always, you guys delivered some pretty fun answers, and we're going to go over about 20 to 25 of those today. But before we jump into your unpopular opinions, be sure to check the description so that you can follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch, and subscribe to my second channel. All of those things are in the description as always. I really enjoy reading other people's unpopular opinions about The Sims 4 because sometimes people are like, this is unpopular, but then it's like, no, I think that's a pretty popular opinion. And a lot of the things that you guys commented were pretty popular. So I tried to pick the ones that were a little bit less popular, and we're gonna jump into those right now. The first one comes from Beth and says, I wish they would do more experimental packs/ideas. Medieval, Strangerville, Into the Future, etc. I found this one pretty interesting because I find that the community is really split on stuff like this. When we got The Sims 4 Strangerville, it was like, okay, interesting, but I don't care. And that's what a lot of people thought. And honestly, I think it was kind of fun. I think it was interesting. It was something completely different. Now, I don't agree that Journey to Batu or Journey to Batol deserves to have been made. I think that they could have done something similar, but not have it be Star Wars themed. I think that could have done a little bit better. I just don't think that Star Wars was the way to go. I think they need to be a little bit more creative in their concepts, like they were with The Sims 4 Strangerville. Having to go through The Sims and play through this whole storyline was actually kind of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And Strangerville as a world is fun to live in. The vibe is very cool. The cast is cool, and all of the build mode items are kind of fun. And I think that it was a really good pack, and I think it could be interesting to see some more stuff like that. However, I do think that things like The Sims Medieval are better than like The Sims 4 Strangerville, because The Sims Medieval was its own entity. And I think if they did more stuff like that, it might go over a little bit better. This comment by Aesthetic Cloud says, I actually like rabbit holes. I 100% agree. A lot of people don't like rabbit holes, and I've never really understood that. I think that rabbit holes as the way they were in The Sims 3 was really, really well done, where you had this big open world and your Sims would go into a building, they'd be at an art class, or they'd be going to dinner, or all of that is so fun, and it kind of just like adds more to the game for me. I love the idea of Sims walking into a building, coming out and looking completely different as if they got their hair done, or like little things like that. I don't know. I don't need to see my Sims do every single thing that they're doing. I enjoy rabbit holes. I love the Discover University rabbit hole, sending my Sims to class. I don't want to go to university. I've already graduated. I do not need to sit with my Sims and go to class. I like rabbit holes in a lot of circumstances. Michaela said, I honestly don't mind that babies are objects, but I do wish you could carry them around. I honestly think that if you were able to just carry the babies around, they would feel entirely different, even if they still functioned exactly the same. I think that the big part of babies being an issue is that they are so tied to that bassinet, and they don't leave that bassinet or like the little one cube around the bassinet for their entire baby life. And I think that's where a lot of the issue comes from in The Sims 4 with babies. It's like in The Sims 2, babies didn't really function that much differently. Like babies weren't that different in previous Sims games, but they weren't tied to a bassinet, and everything was just felt a little bit more real. So I think that just being able to carry them around, having them be able to drink bottles instead of it just being in the bassinet, like it's just weird. It's just weird. Babies in The Sims 4 are weird. I don't think that they would be that much different if they weren't objects, as we'd like to say. I think that it would just mean that they get to leave that little area that they live in. Aaron said, I don't care about having cars. I don't see a vision of how they would work in a closed world, and if they're anything like bicycles from university, no thank you. Since I played The Sims 2, I know that you can have cars and have them feel a little bit realistic in a closed world where the Sim would just like back out of the driveway, drive away, and you wouldn't see them anymore. It was obviously more functional in an open world like in The Sims 3, but cars can still be fun. You can still teach your teens to drive. You can still have them be a woohoo location. You can have fixer-upper cars. It could be a whim that they have where they just want to get a really nice car because they're going through something. I just think that cars add more realism to the game because most people own a car. Most people have driven in a car in their lifetime. Like cars are just an everyday part of most people's lives. So it's just one of those things. I just want it even though I don't care about it. I don't know how to describe that. I don't actually care about cars. I don't care about my Sims owning cars. I just want them to be there. As weird as that sounds. Dad Ate the Cheetos said, I don't care about bunk beds. People make a fuss when if we get them, we'll enjoy them for 10 minutes, then forget, and we'll move on to another thing we want and we'll complain about. I think that this kind of just speaks to the Sims community in general, not just about bunk beds, but about a lot of things. Of course, there are a lot of things to complain about in The Sims 4, but we're always just coming up with new things that we're annoyed with, and it just kind of is the kind of toxic internet culture, I would say. We also got this comment from Moonlight Robloxian 345 that said the community can be very toxic. And it's really interesting to think about because yeah, the Sims community can be toxic, and it comes from every level of the Sims community. Game changers can be toxic, regular simmers can be toxic, small YouTubers can be toxic, just everybody, the way that we all communicate with each other can be extremely toxic sometimes. And I think that it needs to be more of just like accept people's opinions and don't yell at them for not agreeing with you in all capacity in The Sims 4. If you want bunk beds, enjoy your bunk beds, but then don't in 2 seconds be like, okay, so why don't we have this item? Enjoy your bunk beds, let it sink in that you got your bunk beds, and maybe don't bring out the pitchforks immediately for the next thing. Give it a few days. But there has been a lot of stuff in the Sims community that is extremely toxic, and it just kind of hurts to see because the Sims community should be this place where we all just love each other. And I know that the game's not perfect, and I know that there are a lot of issues with the game, and it makes sense to bring those things to the guru so that they understand them. But I've also seen the Sims community be so toxic towards the people that work on this game. And it's like, you don't need to be in the guru's tweets every single time they tweet, even if it's not about anything related to The Sims, yelling about things that are wrong with the game, because they aren't the ones making most of the decisions. They're just the ones that are working on the game. So there's just so many layers to the thought of the Sims community is toxic, and it just kind of breaks my heart that a lot of people think that it is. I just want us all to be happy. This comment from Jumbled says, I like swatches instead of color wheels. I honestly agree with this to a certain extent. The only thing I want a color wheel for is hairstyles, because we don't have enough swatches for hair, and it's just not realistic because people do have different tones in their hairstyles, and I think that that could be really fun. But for furniture and everything, I found Create a Style and the color wheel to just be too much. I could never make decisions, and I am a person that suffers from decision fatigue, so I agree that swatches make everything a little bit easier, because I even struggle with those decisions. Goldfish commented, even though it's annoying, sometimes the townies' clothes are kind of iconic. It's pretty popular to talk about how weird some of the townie outfits can be, the eyeball ring being on like all the Sims all the time for no reason, even though it's hideous. It's really fun. I honestly love when a townie shows up in an outfit that makes no sense, that's 87 different colors, and they're wearing fishnets with like a regular summer dress in the middle of winter. It's just my favorite thing. It's so fun. I love taking screenshots of townies when they show up in weird clothes, and honestly they are iconic, and people like to complain about it, but I think it adds a little bit of flair to the game. Katie said, I think the farming pack that people were pushing so hard for doesn't fit in with the series at all. If you wanted a farming simulator, Stardew Valley is inexpensive and way more fun. It also has even better stories than The Sims 2 and The Sims 4. I personally think is a much more engaging game. I haven't actually thought about that. See, farming in The Sims 4 doesn't really make sense to me because I'm unsure about what people want in a farming pack. We already have the ability to have all of these plants that you can farm, essentially, like having a garden. The gardening skill is essentially farming. The only thing it would add, I guess, would be more animals, but even then I'm like, I don't want cows and chickens and pigs. I'm not really a fan of the idea of the farming pack. If you really want that experience, I do suggest Stardew Valley. It is a great game. They have it on the computer, they have it on Switch. It's everywhere. Stardew Valley is incredible. You can even get it on your phone. Inexpensive, beautiful, farm, enjoy yourself. But I've never understood why people want farming in The Sims 4. It just doesn't make sense to me. However, I would be really interested in all of the build-buy items because building like farmhouses could be really cute. But is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about farming in The Sims 4. I don't think I want it. James commented, this is bad, but I like my first pet stuff. Now you would be surprised at how many people actually left a comment similar to this or have left comments about my first pet stuff on other videos. I actually think that it's a pretty popular pack among Sims players as much as people in the Sims community like to act like it's the worst stuff pack. I think that if you're decorating a kid's room, it can be very helpful. It's just annoying because all of the kids' furniture in my first pet stuff should have been in cats and dogs with the set that matches. If it would have been a different set of furniture, but you also got like all of the rodents and everything, that would have made a lot more sense to me. But the fact that it felt so split up, I think is what everybody hates about it. There's honestly a lot of really good things in my first pet stuff. There's good items, and I use some of them kind of often, which I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about because I'm like, my first pet stuff is not that bad. But I feel like we all just came out with pitchforks and we're like, DLC for DLC, you are fired. And that like breaks my heart because a lot of people do love this pack and people are constantly just like talking crap about it. And I wish that we could all just be a little bit more accepting that people have different opinions about stuff sometimes. Grace said, I like how we can't click on babies or pets. It makes it more realistic. Honestly, yeah, but then it also kind of like, it's a life sim, so like none of it's really realistic. But being able to click on a pet or a baby, not a pay bay, would be fun. I really liked being able to control pets in The Sims 2 and being able to send them to work. I miss pet careers. That's a really silly thing to miss, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one that wanted to make my pet famous. But being able to see what they needed made the game just a little bit easier. So I guess it does add a little bit of like realism and harder gameplay. But I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of wish it was an option. Like, I really do want more options in The Sims 4 options where we can turn things like that on. Like having your Sims pets be controllable or not should be an option because it is available if you have mods. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it should be an option so that you can choose whether or not you want it, depending on how realistic you want your gameplay to be. Sims Fanatic commented, I have no interest in an online Sims experience and feel it will kill the entire series. If The Sims 5 is an online-only experience, I think that it will break the series. I think that it will alienate a lot of players. I've always had The Sims be a very like just me experience. Now that I stream on Twitch, I see how it can be like community-ish, but you're still playing by yourself. It's one of those games that like if you're feeling sad, you go into a room and you just play The Sims for hours all alone. And I think that having it be online would just ruin that for me. I'm not a fan of online games in general because I find gaming to be a very solitary activity most of the time. I do it to kind of escape reality and to escape other humans, and I think that The Sims Online just wouldn't be it for me. If they were to have The Sims 5 come out and be exactly what we want it to be and have it be the way that it has been for Sims 1, 2, 3, and 4, solitary experience, I'd be so happy. And then if they made a separate Sims Online like they did way back in the day and had it be a different thing where you could play online if you wanted to, I think that that's the way that they should go, and I really hope that that's the way that they're going, because The Sims as an online experience just doesn't vibe with me, and I really hope that's not what happens. Lucy commented, the game is only playable with lifespan on long mode. Anything less is way too fast. This is one of the ones that made me really think. I was like, oh, do I ever play on long mode? No, the answer is no. I think that the long lifespan is too long, and I think the short lifespan is too short, and I think that the regular lifespan is like a little bit too short. I really miss being able to change the like specific time frames for lifespans like you could in The Sims 3 and having them all be individual. That was really cool. But I don't know if I agree that the only way to play is on a long lifespan. I think it's really fun to be chaotic and play on a short lifespan once in a while. The next comment here from Kai says building is the worst. I do agree that building can be very difficult, but I do think it's an acquired taste and it is a really good way to like be creative in a way that you wouldn't normally be. As someone who can't draw or play an instrument or do most creative things, I find building to be a really good way to just like de-stress at the end of a long day. And I think that building can be really fun if you just take the time to learn how to use all of the tools. Honestly, I suggest like any little Simsy like build, I think she called them the Builder's Bible videos. That's kind of where I learned a lot. And like James Turner has a couple tutorials. You can learn a lot on how to make building more fun in The Sims 4. Alexis said, I hate new deaths in the game. People are always happy because there's another consequence, but like what? I want my Sim to go to jail or get fired from their job, not die. This honestly really made me laugh because I was like, well, every time I get a new death type, I get excited. I am that person that gets excited about new deaths in the game, but I also would like to see different kinds of consequences like getting fired and all of that. I feel like we do have a lot of deaths in the game. We have a lot of woohoo locations in the game. Why not add different little details that could change things instead of just giving us the same thing over and over again? I don't know. I guess death is a little bit too far. Maybe we could add littler details that could make it a little bit easier. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I love death types in the game. RM said, I don't really like any of the game packs. There are a few that are worth buying, but most of them are meh. I actually posted a video on Monday just a few days ago about my favorite Sims packs, and when I was trying to figure out which game packs I liked the most, I had such a hard time. That many game packs in The Sims 4, and most of them, I just, like they add like one thing that I want. Like I want to be able to run a restaurant. Cool. I want to be able to die in a sauna. That's really the only thing in Spotted that excites me. Like, there's so many game packs that are just kind of lackluster and aren't interesting enough to me, but I don't know. I don't really enjoy the whole game pack system as a whole. I really just wish it was stuff packs that just had stuff, had no gameplay, and expansion packs that were giant. That's the way that I wish it was. That's the way that I think it should be. But that's just me. Maybe other people do enjoy game packs. I'm just not a fan of this system. The Sims 4 Tips and Tricks commented, I don't want preteens in the game. I find it really interesting when people are like, I want preteens. And I'm like, We don't need another life stage, we just need more in-depth life stages. I don't think that having another life stage is going to fix the game in ways that people think it's going to. I think it's going to make it just a little bit more watered down and not feel better in any way. I get that it kind of feels like your kid goes from like 10 to like 16 and you skip a little bit of time there, but I think that if you play it in a specific way, you can make it feel a little bit less like that, and I don't think that they would do it well enough to have preteens in the game. Matthew commented, I liked Luxury Party. So like just last week I posted a video saying that Luxury Party is one of the worst stuff packs in The Sims 4. So Matthew, I apologize, but I do not agree with you on this one. I think that Luxury Party is kind of garbage. A lot of people commented saying that they really enjoyed it because of like using the stuff for formal wear, but I like packs that are more usable in other ways. I like packs that have, but the furniture is where it really gets me. Because you can make a pack like bowling night stuff and have it be very specific, have the clothes all be for bowling, but then have really good furniture that is very versatile and can be used more than once. The furniture in Luxury Party really isn't very versatile. The clothing is obviously not very versatile, and I just don't like it. Elizabeth said, I would rather be able to travel to other worlds than to have one open world. So this is like a comparison from The Sims 3 where you could only live in one world and you were there forever, or a comparison to The Sims 4 where we have a closed off world but you can go visit any world at any time. I can't really decide what I would prefer because I really do enjoy like having my Sims go to Sulani for a little bit, or just like moving around all the time. I do that a lot. I like to change up everything about my gameplay, so I make them live in a completely different place. So I don't really know like what I want The Sims 5 to look like. If I want a closed world where we can visit, or if I want an open world. I just don't know, and I can't really make up my mind. However, the one thing I would like to change is seeing Sims from different worlds all the time. Like if you're in Oasis Springs, the land grabs can come hang out because they live there. But if you're in Willow Creek, I want to see Sims that live in Willow Creek when you're hanging out at a community lot, not the land grabs. That kind of breaks it for me. Lillian May said, Get Together is the best pack. Honestly, I think that Get Together is kind of slept on by a lot of people because they don't really play with it. I find that a lot of players kind of ignore the club system entirely and just talk about how Windenburg's good but everything else sucks. There's a lot of stuff in Get Together. There's like foosball tables and Don't Wake the Llama and DJ booths and all of this crazy stuff. And you also have the club system and you have the best world in the entire game. Windenburg is hands down the best. It has the most lots, it has the most places to go, and it's just so much fun. And I also really like the townies in Windenburg. I had a lot of fun playing in Windenburg every time I'm ever there. I just love it. And I honestly do think the Get Together is a little bit underrated by most players. Tom said, I actually kind of like that pre-made Sims turn up everywhere. Like we love to see Judith Ward getting flustered in the pub and the fact that Morty Goth is just everywhere. See, I really think that it kind of adds to like the goofiness of The Sims to see Judith Ward hanging out at like a dive bar or going fishing. It's just kind of goofy. And I know that it breaks the suspension of disbelief for a lot of people, but I think that it's just kind of fun, and The Sims is fun, and it's supposed to be a fun experience. It doesn't have to be entirely realistic. And the fact that this famous woman is just everywhere all the time, or Mortimer Goth, who's super loaded, is everywhere all the time, is fun to me. I think it's funny. It's kind of annoying sometimes, but I think it's funny. Nat and Kat said, seasons are annoying? This is one that I was a little bit confused about. Do people think that seasons are annoying in The Sims 4? Because, like, I can't play the game without seasons. I think it's so sad when it's just sunny all the time. Now, I will say that I do think it rains too much in The Sims 4 and that it's always gloomy, and that kind of bugs me. But I do think that having, like, that passage of time feeling where, like, the seasons change and things start to look a little bit different, you have different holidays, kind of adds to the realism of the game for me, and I really enjoy that. So I don't know. Let me know if you think seasons are annoying. I need more details. And the last comment here from Meiki, I honestly have no idea how to say your username, but it says, there's a lot of things EA did good. And this is something that I'm like, yes, there is a lot of things that EA did good, and a lot of people aren't willing to admit that. Especially with recent updates, I think that they're adding a lot of stuff that Simmers are wanting and that Sims should have. Like, for example, the skin tone update, they knocked that out of the park. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And I think that they did such a great job. Now, they may add some things that we're not so excited about, but a lot of the things that they are doing are really, really well done. And if you think about a lot of the stuff that we've gotten in updates recently, they're trying to fix the game. They're trying to make it what we want, but they are limited by an entire corporation because EA is a little bit of a butthead. But the Sim Gurus are doing what they can and really working hard on this game, and they're trying their best. And honestly, I appreciate them for that. But that doesn't overshadow, I don't want people to see this as like me kissing EA's butt. This doesn't overshadow the fact that The Sims 4 is a flawed game. It's been flawed from the start, and it isn't great. It's not great. And I'm not sure that The Sims 4 will ever be great. But The Sims team will continue to try and fix it in any way that they can, I hope, until we get The Sims 5, which is hopefully maybe soon. I can't decide if I want The Sims 5 yet. I haven't made up my mind. But yeah, guys, those are your unpopular opinions. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely give it a thumbs up. Leave some of your unpopular opinions in the comments down below. You can also leave comments about anything else. We can talk about my bathrobe. I'm a big fan. I really hope that you guys are having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. You can find all of my links in the description down below if you want to find me on Twitch or on Twitter. And I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.